Hey guys, what's up? It is Dave the Drummer here. It is a brand new episode of The Talking Drum, which means it is the last Friday of the month. We've got a brand new episode and we've got 3 drummers for you tonight. So let's get over to Stretch right now. Stretch, take it away.
But the story is I've been a Ludwig man most of my life.
Yeah.
I've always liked old Ludwigs. I can't even tell you what my first kit was because I don't remember it. It was a piece of junk mixed together. But then my second kit was a Ludwig kit. And I kind of kept going with Ludwig. And also usually would keep going with something else too.
Yeah.
So right now I'm playing a Ludwig, a 3-piece Ludwig. And I have another 3-piece Ludwig, a smaller kit. And my third kit's a brand new Mapex that I picked up recently.
But I actually bought my first drum set from you guys. It was sitting outside. It was a Pearl imitation export. They built in Japan. It was 5 shells. I think I bought it from you guys for like $50 or $60, something ridiculous like that. I was just like, the hell with it. I'm just going to go for it. Yeah. And then just kind of built off that. And so, I mean, you know, starving musician, what can I say, also has, you know, been very integral in my journey as a musician. What are you working on any kind of projects, like recording on anything, or are you working towards, what's kind of going on with you for this next year, besides the, you know, the obvious, you know, relocation?
Yeah, the one thing is right now I'm heavily involved in the store. We're going to relocate. We've been there 15 years, and they're going to turn our building into a parking lot.
Right.
It's called the beautification of Santa Cruz and Ocean Street. And we can debate that another time. And yes, I'm being facetious. I'm real involved in that, obviously. We're moving the store down to downtown.
Right.
Next to the Catalyst where Union Grove used to be. So it's a big endeavor right now. But outside of that, with the new Shockwaves, recently, about 3-4 weeks ago, in fact, right after our last gig, I decided to bring in another guitarist. Because we started as a 3-piece.
Right.
Guitar, bass, drums. And I really realized that I was putting a lot of pressure on the lead guitarist. Because some of the songs we do require 3 guitar parts.
Right.
And it's hard enough for one guitar to do three parts or 2 parts. So I figured, let's bring another guitarist. Well, it turns out to be the guitarist from the grunge band.
Right.
He was looking for another gig, so he joined us. And he's a talented musician named Mitch who's never played surf in his life. But he's trained from the School of Berkeley. He can play anything I throw at him. He's that good. He just needs the confidence because he doesn't, you know, he understands now after rehearsing for 4 weeks with us. There's a certain feel to surf.
Right.
There's a certain feel to the music. It's not just, you know, you can play the notes, but there's a feel about it.
I agree.
And he's starting to understand what that feel is in the rehearsals.
Yeah. Sounds like he's going to be a welcome addition to you.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're breaking him in. So basically, he's got to learn about 30 songs, so that we can go out and, you know, do long gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
So right now we're just rehearsing.
Right on.
I wouldn't be surprised if later this year we try and put together some kind of EP or, you know, some kind of a demo tape of some originals.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of having something to say, hey, here's what we sound like, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's been kind of occurring with me too, is trying to finish up my EP. I was just talking with one of the guys that helps produce the show, Logan Tyler of Light the Band. Light the Band. That the different setups that there is available to distributing, to, you know, getting your music out there. There's, you know, a plastic old school CD style release. There's the paper sleeve. There's the fold out sleeves. I mean, there's so many different choices now. It's ridiculous, and I'd imagine it's something else that's a caveat, because it's really where creativity kind of really comes out, you know, in unexpected ways.
Yeah.
You know, just talking with him, and, you know, just even getting ideas just from that talk alone, you know.
Well, I keep hearing theories about vinyl's coming back and you put a record out.
I would love to put a record out. I really would. All right, and finally, what's your favorite place to eat in town? Give some local love. Tell me somebody you're just like, they just knock it out of the park.
You hit me with a question, I have no idea. Sushi.
Well, whose?
Probably Otara in Scotts Valley.
Oh, yeah. I've been there before.
Pretty sure that's the name of it.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's over Scotts,
it's right on...
Not Scotts Valley Drive, it's the other one.
Mount Herman Road.
Yes, Mount Herman Road, that's the one, yeah.
And if it's not there, it's any burrito place in town.
You know who's really good for burritos and also in Scotts Valley is Los Gallos. Los
Okay.
Gallos, which is I actually think in the same shopping area, but
Okay.
they're super fantastic. If you ever get a chance to get Doritos there. One of the first drummers I think I've seen play with a piccolo snare. Really dug his sound, really dig his style, like how he plays. I've told him so many times. He's the guy that introduced me to 7As, which are the stick that I use as like my default now. Well, as the drum set that I use as my default now. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the drummer for Monkeyhands and for Taylor Ray. His name, Eiji Nakagawa. Take it away, Eiji. We got Naka working with Taylor Ray, was right? Taylor Ray, and also with Monkeyhands. Really excited to have Naka here. We've name dropped him a couple of times on the show. Known him for a little while. Played a couple of shows with him back in the day, and it's really, really awesome to have you, man.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be here, man.
Yeah. So tell the folks out there, tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself.
My name's Naka. I go by Naka. My real name's Alex Nakagawa. You could guess why it's Naka. I've been around the Santa Cruz for about 7 years now, and pretty much most of the time I've been here, I've been playing music, and
Right.
playing drums and guitar too sometimes, but mostly drums.
We were actually just talking right before we started filming, and I had no idea that Naka also moved to Santa Cruz to go to school at UCSC.
Yeah, UCS.
Yeah, and so I mean, you know, I was gonna say Porter, but UCSC, you know, Slugs, you know, we've got a special connection. Some of your influences, drummer-wise.
Drummer-wise, John Bonham, John Densmore,
Right.
Billy Kreutzmann, Mickey Hart, for sure.
Those are some really prolific drummers. Especially, well, I mean, Mickey has a strong resonance here in the area. Mickey is the drummer for Grateful Dead, and a lot of people here they've never let go of the Dead in their hearts. And Jerry's spirit still resonates from the Santa Cruz Mountains from when she came. So tell us a little bit about your drum setup. Like, what do you use?
I use a super basic kit. I'm actually still playing the first drum kit I ever bought, which was the second year I moved up to Santa Cruz is when I got it. For my snare, I have a Gresh.
You have a Gresh now?
Catalina Elite. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I actually that's the snare that came with the kit I bought. But I started playing the piccolo a little after, more so because I was gigging a lot at the time, and I didn't really want to take my nice snare to these house parties where it might get stolen or smashed or
No, I totally feel that.
Over time, definitely really grew on me, the sound and the piccolo and just the feel. Yeah, I rock the 7As.
Yeah.
Oh, 7 and 5As,
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Is I'm using some 5As too, but I mean for the most part, 7As are kind of like where it's at,
Yeah.
And this is the guy that was like, hey, you might want to give these ones a shot. And sometimes I still use timbale sticks because they give a really good ring, especially when you're trying to get that kind of sound that the piccolo snare has with like a regular snare, which you can do if you're using the right striking technique and the right your right equipment to make it sound the way you want it to sound. So tell us something a little bit about the Monkeyhands project.
We used to have units in the same rehearsal studios, so they'll be our neighbors rehearsing.
Right.
Me and Andy will be jamming, Mikey and Matt will be jamming all the time, and then, over time we're like, hey, why don't we just all jam together? We're here all the time anyway. We all like music. We all, are talented.
Right.
So, that's pretty much how Monkeyhands started. And then once I left, it was kind of like, well, Schwa was like, hey, we kind of want a full band to start playing for the comedy shows. And we're just like, hey, we've been jamming. We could probably come up with the set. And Mikey, the main songwriter, frontman, he has, hundreds of songs he's written. So
nice.
We just went off that, started learning some of his songs, arranging them. everyone like came up with their parts for it and pretty much got a set ready to play at these comedy shows. It was kind of like there's a group of musicians, there's music already written, and there's a venue available to play shows, you know, so it just kind of fell into place a little bit. And then after I left, the next member, Joey, filled in and played drums in my place, and after I came back, we were just kind of like, hey, you already played drums, so, you know, how about we just like both play drums? And so for Monkeyhands, we switch off, and I play guitar for some of the songs, and Joey plays drums, and then we switch off.
Thank you so much for the clip, Naka.
No problem.
Yeah, man. Is there anything else that you're working on? Is there anything you're working on recording wise in the next couple of weeks, or that you've been working on recently?
Recently, not too much, but I've been thinking about, you know, just starting to record some like solo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't I can kind of relate. Well, I can't kind of relate. I was trying to find a way to say that I know where you're coming from, because the injury that I sustained a couple weeks back kind of set me back in terms of being able to play. So I started making up electronic music and working on stuff on my own as XY playing. But it was just doing things kind of like on your own volition. You kind of like just work at your own pace. Yeah. And it's just, it's refreshing. It really is, you know, when you've got like the direct control over everything. So what are some things that you do outside of music, outside of the realm of playing music, that you do to kind of like just for fun, or to unwind at the very least?
I don't know. Just sleep.
Man values his sleep. Are you into video games at all? Have you been?
I do like video games, but I haven't really been playing too much recently yet. Yeah.
Is there anything like as of late that has like grabbed your attention? Did you hear about how they're releasing a brand new like SNES Mini that's gonna have like 30 games on it in like September?
No way, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's definitely going to change a lot of things, I think, for Nintendo in the next 6 months or so. I mean, it's pretty huge. If you can get your hands on one, you know, usually it's because you paid a fairly higher price, or you just were at the right place at the right time and you just had to pay retail. But this time around, Nintendo is coming out and saying that they're going to release an X amount, and they're only going to do it for like 3 months or something like that. No. So it's like they're gonna produce a higher amount of the systems, but they're only going to sell it, I think, for the holiday season of this year. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that works out. But I mean, you a Super Nintendo guy at all, or any fond memories definitely of any Super Nintendo games? What do you?
Super Mario.
Like Mario Kart or Metroid or any of that, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
All those, pretty much.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I might grab one. I don't know. It just kind of depends.
It's just like the same graphic and everything.
It's the exact same thing. It's just a smaller, you know, like a modernized one. You'll be able to hook it up to like a HD TV and all that jazz. And, you know, I might get one. I don't know. I have a Super Nintendo. I've got a ton of games, so I don't really need it, but I mean, you know, for the novelty of it, it looks cool too. I mean, they actually have an unreleased game on there,
which is really surprising. It's called Star Fox, right?
Yeah.
So there was a Star Fox 2 that was never released in America, or it just wasn't released, period. It had been completed and turned in, but management just decided that they didn't want any part of that. So it is actually getting released now through this SNES Classic Mini or whatever it's called. So I mean, that's a really cool incentive to go out and grab that. It's I guess fairly easy these days to just put it on a ROM cart and just like put that on your Super Nintendo. Like you can play it. You can download it to a ROM chip and then put that ROM chip inside of the Super Nintendo cartridge and then just put it. Like, just play it like you would play any other game. But this kind of takes all that out of that. You just, plug and play, for the most part.
What if you want to play other games than what it comes with?
Well...
You can't.
Nintendo says that you wouldn't be able to, but, people prove them wrong about the NES Classic, but people are eventually able to crack that one, too.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but, I mean, give it a little time. It'll probably happen. That's what the whole show is about, is to kind of, to get to know your local drummers in the Santa Cruz area. And we've gone through, a number of them now. And if we're lucky, we're going to keep going on and, bringing to you more interviews, more time to talk with, the guy behind the kit. That's where we're pretty much at right now with the show. So, can you give us some links, maybe, for some of your stuff people can check out, like for Monkeyhands or Taylor Ray? I mean,
Sure.
probably more Monkeyhands right now, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we don't really have any recordings for Taylor Ray
Right.
yet, but if you're interested, I guess the best thing to do is just like us on Facebook and then stay updated that way, because, yeah, I'm like... Oftentimes I would hear about shows for Monkeyhands like through someone else, not from the band. Like, it'd be like, oh, you guys are playing this day? Like, I'm gonna go see. Like, oh, I guess, yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on, Eiji. I really appreciate you taking time to come and talk to us and tell us about, what you do, what you're up to these days, and appreciate you just kind of bearing your soul. Sometimes it's not easy for some folks to be able to kind of talk about themselves beyond the craft. So, I want to just say, this next drummer I'm very well acquainted with. I've known him for some time. I would like to think I have a guiding hand in what he does. That drummer would be me, Dave the drummer. I have a little FAQ on myself and the show. So take it away, over to Dave. Dave, go. But I figured I would talk a little bit about myself, and you could get a little acquainted with Dave the drummer, the guy who runs the websites and does the talking drum and all that. I'm originally from Fresno. My last name is De Leon. A lot of people have a hard time pronouncing it, so Dave the drummer just seems like really good marketing, very easy to use. People could kind of just, oh yeah, Dave the drummer. I have been playing for about 10 years now. I had a bit of training when I was younger with my dad, but didn't really pursue it past like 7, 8, kind of just jumped into different interests and such. My brother is a drummer. He freelances, plays in a couple of different things here and there back in Fresno. I have 2 uncles and my dad who were drummers. I have been very much inspired by them and the fact that there's a great legacy in our family of playing music, and also, there's family members I've had that don't just play drums; they're also musicians in general. So it's good to feel, the brevity in, playing music and having that in a family. So when I moved to Santa Cruz, I hadn't really considered playing music professionally, or had really just decided I wanted to be a drummer. It wasn't until I started going to open mics at Porter College, College 8, and the different various campus open mics to just start performing. But then eventually I broke my silence, and I started doing poems, and then I eventually started doing a cappella versions of songs that I was really into. And then I just started playing with friends around campus, just doing things here and there. My eventual XY playing bandmate, Tony, and I played with another guy that we played with, a friend of ours that lived in Porter. His name is Ben, and we actually covered Blister in the Sun by Violent Femmes. and that's pretty good times there. But moving along, I got my first drum set about a year and a half later with my friend Tony's help, and we started just jamming and just recording various stuff, and eventually we formed a group called XY Plane. We're very progressive and electronic driven. It was just mostly keyboard and drums, but had a lot of fun playing and recording a lot of different stuff, some of which you can find on our SoundCloud. And eventually, Tony moved away, and I was kind of left to find my own way musically. Without him, I'd been playing with him for the last 2 years up to that point, so it was kind of like a babe in the woods situation where you're kind of just lost and not sure. Eventually, I moved into a house in El Rancho Drive and started playing with this group that eventually would become Jeff Gardner and the Tools. I played with them for about a year and a half or so. It was a cover band. Played a lot of contemporary stuff, reggae, all that jazz, and played with them for about a year and a half. At some point, I decided I kind of wanted to get involved with different projects, different sounds. So I started playing with different groups around town. Stalked by Satellites was one. In Time and Space being another. I've filled in with different bands. I am a huge fanatic for Dance Dance Revolution. I've talked about it with anybody who will listen to me. And it was kind of the thing that I would get into. I would say it was the thing that kept me wanting to dabble, at least the curiosity, keeping the curiosity in me of playing music with Dance Dance Revolution, all the beats and the rhythms and all that, and the timing and everything, and all the coordination. My dad had always said to me that he thought as long as I was playing that there would always be a chance I would come back to playing drums. Well, I guess he was right, because we're right here, we're doing this thing. And I love video game music to death. I have tons and tons of soundtracks of video game music, and it's some of the most brilliant stuff I've ever heard of my life. Nobuo Uematsu, who works on the Final Fantasy games and other various things, he's amazing. He's made amazing music for as long as I can remember. Tommy Tallarico, I have to give him some mad props because he's made tons of video game music, and he just, he had it for the time. These are guys that are using chip tunes and, all kinds of old video gaming, beats and whatnot, which is now becoming a huge thing. You have chiptune bands and, all that that genre is kind of just hot. I have to give a big shout out to Yuzo Koshiro. He has definitely changed the game ever since he stepped in day one, and big props up to him. But eventually, I would really like to start playing video game covers of different songs. There's a lot of Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, Art of Fighting, Street Fighter songs that I would just love to start maybe performing, doing drum covers. Doesn't sound like a bad idea. I don't think it does. I would definitely say that my biggest inspiration is Bill Bruford as a drummer. His snare is just signature. You're listening to him when you hear his snare. His time spent across Crimson and touring with Genesis, and even working with like Chris Squire on the side, and his Earthwork stuff has just been amazing all across. I love the guy's style. Pat Masalato is another guy that I would say is a very big inspiration to me. I've been a big fan of his ever since Mr. Mister, and when he became the drummer of Crimson, and I put two to two together, it blew my mind. And I just recently got to talk to him a couple of days ago when the Stickmen were in town, and it's always a delight to go and see your idols and whatnot. Another drummer I'm a really big fan of is I would say Billy Cobham. As of late, I've been a really big fan of Billy Cobham. He's just amazing. His style and technique is just one of a kind, and the guy is just he just dances. His hands just dance on his drum set. It's amazing. I would say that my style personally is a fairly rock with a little bit of jazz. I really like playing against rhythms, and I do like odd timing signatures. Although I have trouble working on those time signatures, but ask anybody and they'll tell you sometimes you just really got to work at it. My kit is a Pearl Export. It's a purple-ish. It almost looks like the Decepticon logo, which I kind of really big fan of. And I use a 12 and a 13-inch tom with my side tom, 20-inch kick, and I have an A custom thin crash here. I've got my Zildjian 18 ride, and then I have my ride, my 302 that I've had since I've been playing ever since I bought my own drum set. Hey, thank you so much for giving us that interview, Dave. I really appreciate that. So, thank you for joining us. Again, we really appreciate you watching. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can catch the individual interviews. They are a little different than what we have on the Talking Drum TV, which is on CTV, channel 27. If you're a Comcast subscriber in the Santa Cruz area, we are on channel 27 there as well. So, next month we will have a brand new episode. The last Friday of that month, we're going to have a brand new episode. We look forward to seeing you then. And until then, make sure to check out all what's going on, all my social media links. You got the Facebook, the Twitter. Check out what's going on with me on the SoundCloud. Check out if I've got a brand new single coming out not too long from now. It's going to be really, really awesome song that I'm looking forward to putting out. It's untitled currently. I'll definitely let you know what's going on with that. But until next time, this is Dave the Drummer saying, Blue Justice!